Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. You will notice I've got Dave Holland with me. We have worked with Dave for many, many years. Dave is our chosen business support partner here at Nest. He's done lots of work with us, lots of work with our clients, and lots of work with us personally as a management team and our staff. He's been invaluable to us. So I wanted to bring him on board today because, as you know, we run different topics every month, and we do it on retention and marketing and so on. And they're all brilliant. They're all great. But we thought this month, let's just focus on the underlying elements of your business. And what is it? You are your business. You guys are your business, which is quite different to many other types of industries. So actually, what's going on with you personally is extremely important to your business and very, very impactful. So we thought it would be a great opportunity for Dave to bring in his own experience and knowledge about mindset, about business and personal mindset, and what could potentially be a barrier. We often hear about financial barriers, student barriers, parent barriers, but we don't often talk enough about mental barriers and psychological barriers. So today we've got Dave, who has got lots of experience in this and has written articles on it and blogs about it, done lots of research. So we're going to hear from his wonderful mind about the mindset of business. So I am going to leave you, Dave. I'm going to
Okay,
exit from here for now. You've got some slides to show the group. So I'll leave and then I'll come back in towards the end, okay?
fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. So no pressure on me at all, but thanks, Lou. So hopefully everybody can see the slide. I've got some slides to sort of run through. I think most people know me or know about me. If you don't, just real quick. So I'm business coach. I call myself the business co-pilot. Work with Nest and the gang for a number of years now. But I don't just work in martial arts. I work with a variety of sectors, from accounting to the banks in Luxembourg, just up the road from us. So very, very broad customer base. And I'm going to run through some of the principles and the mindset sort of challenges, if you like, that I see that apply to you guys as martial artists, but it's not just a martial arts issue at all. First question really is, or first sort of framework thing is, I'm going to run through these, what I call these 5 levels of mindset. You may recognize yourself in some of these levels. First of all, if you're at a level that I'm going to talk about and you're happy there, life is good and being fulfilled, then there's nothing wrong with staying put at any one of the levels. Even if you're employed, you're an employee and you don't yet run your own business, some of the happiest people in the world are those that work for other people. So I'm not suggesting that everybody has to be at the very top level that I'm going to talk about. But if you have that level of ambition and you want to grow and build and develop, you may just recognize some of the traits I'm going to run through and give you some tips of how to sort of overcome them as well. So to kick off, the first question is, what is a business? I ask people this in my seminars. How would you describe a business? And this is a definition that I would use. And so it's a mindset approach to it. A business should be, in my experience, a profitable trading enterprise that grows when you're not there. And the challenge from a lot of people in business is they run the business like it's a job. They actually get themselves a job and they work 40 hours, 50, 60 hours a week. And it's not really a business. It's just a high stress, low hourly rate job for too many people. So the first mindset thing is consider what is a business? What are you doing this for? And if you start thinking that it should be running without you, then that really gives a different take on it, that you've got to build a team, you've got to build leverage, you've got to build structure, you've got to build systems so that you don't need to be there and the business is running in your absence. So that's the sort of the principal start point for this, really. The 5 levels of business that I'm going to be talking through are basically these. So number 1 is an employed status. And for many of us, whether we run our own business now, I started out, I was employed. I did a career in business before I started my own companies. Then we have self-employed. Then we have what I call a small business, maybe a small with a team. And then we have a multi-site business when you have multiple locations. And then the top tier is you have what I call international business, where you've got a different framework, different approach, different mindset. So it depends, where you are now. It depends where you want to be. And again, I'm going to go through all the levels and the blockages and the mindset challenges that people face in my experience. It doesn't mean that if you're staying at, self-employed or staying at small business, nothing wrong with that at all. It's not a criticism. It's just if you want to really grow and have that ambition, these are things you may want to sort of question and overcome as we go along. I'm going to run through the ideas and principles. Any questions, please type them in. When I've finished doing my bit, if you like, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. I can stop the slide share. We can have a conversation, have a chat. Any questions you have, if I can answer them, I will. If I can refer you to any resources or any examples, I will. And we can sort of make sure you get the best value from that time together. Okay, so first of all, the level one is what I call employed status. So as employees, anybody who's being employed or currently employed, there are four key attributes I'm going to talk about for each level. So the first one really is the perception or the mindset around money. So in the employee mindset is we get paid for our labor and we relate it to hourly rate. So I started out my life in engineering and I was paid an hourly rate. I was on piecework on the factory floor. And if we did Saturdays, we got time and a half. If we did bank holidays, we got double time. If we did Sundays, we did double time and time off in lieu. Everything was based around return for labor. And this is a mindset thing that a lot of us are given in education as we progress in our jobs and our roles. We automatically think that money or it is a return for time and we fill in our timesheets. So when we're employed, we have a return for labor. The more money we want to make, the more time we have to give. And that's a key limitation because it's not true when you run your own business. In fact, it can be the other way around. So the money mindset is return for labor. And then the second one is employees, what they need, what they want, what they crave is security. They want predictability. They want to know the paycheck's coming in next month. They want to have, career progression and career growth and training, but they want security. And that means that they don't want to take risks. They don't want to take any undue decisions that are going to risk or threaten that employee status. I remember as I started out in my career, and as we all do, we had youngsters, we had children, had a mortgage, we had the credit cards and the car loans and all the things that go with it. I needed to have stability of income. Therefore, employment was the best place for me at that point in time. But they crave that sort of security. What they fear is lack of security, or they fear risk, or uncertainty or redundancy. So an employee mindset is that the fear is loss or losing income or not having sustainability of income and guaranteed income. A lot of people will trade guaranteed income for low income in the place of risky but potential higher income that could be erratic in the future. They don't like that. They want security. Guarantee me 50 grand a year and I'll stay put, rather than the potential for 100 or 150 or whatever it is. They'll stay put at the lower level because that fear of uncertainty and the sabotage they have, because we all do this at our levels. Why don't people in jobs start their own companies? Why isn't everybody doing it? Why is it only, I think it's about 15% of people actually start their own company, start their own business? And the sabotage, if you speak to people who are in jobs and say, why don't you start your own company? Is either they like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. They like being employed. I liked being an employee for a period of time. Nothing wrong with it at all. But actually, they tolerate it. They put up with it. They put up with the hours. They put up with the holiday. They put up with the bad boss or the leadership or whatever it is. They tolerate employment because it gives them security and predictability and certainty for their income as we go along. Now, most of us, I'm guessing most of us on the call now aren't employed, but we were. And for me, that in being employed was the riskiest place to be, because actually from a business terms, I spent about 12, 15 years working for other people, and it was high risk because I've only got one client, my employer. And the tax I pay is paid at source. So the employees pay their tax before they receive their money. This is one of the key things about business growth and development, is the taxation rules and regulations, they change. And basically, the further up the hierarchy we go, we pay tax later on different things. So being employed for me is high risk. I don't get any chance to, recover my tax. It's PAYE, so I'm worst off there to a certain extent. But that's where people start from. But a lot of us come with this employee mindset. We bring it into our companies where we think we've got to work more hours to make more money, and we are risk averse to a certain extent, and we tolerate it. And for a lot of us, get to the point in our career where we get bored of we're working for an idiot, we're working for a boss, but then they're making all the money, we're getting all the stress, we're doing a great job, we do work really hard, and we don't want to work for that idiot anymore, so we want to go and work for ourselves. But then we're working for a complete psychopath, because then we're working for ourselves. So we go from safe and secure employment at a sort of an hourly rate, and then we go into self-employment, which is the next one. Our hourly rate probably drops, but we trade off that hourly rate drop because we have the freedom that we want to go and grow our own companies. So this is the first thing. So employees will start their own companies when they stop tolerating the situation they're in. That's the normal the pressure point. Typically people get made redundant or get laid off or they get sacked or whatever it is, and then they go, that's it, never working for anybody else, I'm now going to start my own company, my own business. And that was the sort of catalyst they need. If they never get made redundant or pushed or kicked or shoved, they stay put. So that's when a lot of people start their own companies, when they get the tolerance reduces. So that's the level one, that's employed status. Level two then is self-employed. Now, this is when we're working for ourselves. We're sort of typically selling our time for money. In martial arts, you're probably on the mats. You're the sort of the lead instructor. You're doing everything. You do the marketing, the selling, the delivery. You do the whole thing. So what happens here is the money mindset changes, because we're not paid by the hour anymore. In fact, the hourly rate can drop if you work out your hourly rate, if you want. It's not just the hours you're on the mats, but think of the time you spend marketing and researching and thinking and fretting and worrying and learning. All that, the hours you work have actually been extended out right now. You get return for service, but only the time you spend on the mats, which may be a third of your working week is actually mat time. So it goes from being paid by the hour for all the hours you do to being paid for service, which is a third of what you do. Everything else is overhead, and you're sort of subsidizing the business to a certain extent. So the money mindset is return on service. That's how that one to a change has to be. The needs of the self-employed: independence, typically independent. We don't want to be told what to do. We want to have freedom and independence. We want the freedom to work 90 hours a week for £5 an hour. But we have the freedom. That's what we crave and what we value. And that independent streak is both a gift and also a limitation as well. If we're highly independent, it may mean we don't actually maybe play nice with other people or team or employees, and therefore we limit ourselves because we are highly independent. We're not great to work with, we're not good at building a team. So this locks us into this self-employed mindset mentality. In terms of fears, normally it's control. Um, we want to have control of our own destiny. We want to have control of our own company, and we don't delegate well. We want to have everything done the way we want to have it done. Only we can do it well. And what happens is, typically I see people in martial arts, this would be, for example, an academy where maybe you've got, I don't know, 100, 150 students, you're the lead instructor, maybe some supporters coming through, maybe, somebody's doing a marketing support for you. But when I say to them, look, why don't you grow the business? Well, what happens is the sabotage is they tell me, we can't find instructors. If you want something doing well, we've got to do it ourselves. There's only me. I'm the expert in this particular, this particular style. Therefore, my students want me. And we sabotage by the belief that we can't delegate, we can't find instructors, we can't train people, we can't systemize, and we can't get ourselves off the mat. So that sabotage is really the mindset that comes from this return for service. And what happens is, when you speak to people, you may recognize yourselves, I don't know, is that people will say, well, you know what, there's no such thing as you can't find black belt instructors out there. Well, somebody's finding them, because somebody's got a multi-site location doing great work. Somebody's finding instructors, somebody's finding a way. And even with, and this again is something when you have that conversation about how can you find instructors, how can you develop your own instructors coming through, how do you have your own academy, they will tend to sabotage it because They want that independence and control. They're not prepared to let go of it. So to go to the next level outside self-employed, the mindset has to be, we've got to let go, we've got to delegate, we've got to let people do things, we've got to systemize, we've got to structure, we've got to bring people into the team, and we've got to let go of the skills and being the only person that can deliver this fabulous program. This happens again, not just a martial arts thing. I see this in every sector. From one of my clients is an accountant. In the UK, the one accountant in Luxembourg we're working with as well. And the accountant in Luxembourg is almost self-employed, got a couple of people doing some bookkeeping and this sort of thing. He's really good, loves what he does. And I said to him, what's the next level of growth for you? And he said, well, of course, in Luxembourg, of course, you can't find accountants. Well, if you know Luxembourg, it is absolutely filled with accountants. They're everywhere. They're like a rash. Luxembourg's full of accountants and bankers and lawyers. You trip over accountants in the coffee shop. They're everywhere. But his belief is because he can't find accountants. That's his sabotage. Therefore, he's going to be independent until he realizes it's okay to lose some independence and also let go of some of the control as well. So if you feel yourself having this sort of control freakery over your business and your delivery and your style and your standards, that can be a limitation as well. It really can, unfortunately. If you have any questions, by the way, please you can type them in and we can come back to them later on. But for now, yeah, we'll keep on going through. So level 3, we got through self-employed. So you break through. Now you have a team of people. Now you've got some instructors. You maybe have some support team. You've got your marketing being delegated. And now this one, the money mindset changes here because this is money on activity. So you're not delivering all the lessons anymore. We've realized that you can make money from the work that other people do. So this is activity-based income now, and this is a big shift from being the hourly rate mentality maybe you had when you were sort of self-employed. So the profit comes from the activity. You pay people to do a job, you charge people to be there, and the gap in between, that's where you derive your profit. It pays for your overheads and your fixed costs. So you get paid on the profitability of the business now, not on the activity you do for it. You're not billing anymore. You're not a billable accountant or a billable lawyer. You're building a team, and therefore the activity they derive, that's where your income comes from. So we've shifted a gear now. This is a different sort of mindset. Needs. Now you need control. One of the things here about having a team is you need control, and this is where you must have systems in place, because this is where these companies will tend to fall down, is where you build a team, there's no systems or structure, they don't do a great job, and then the person will sit back and go, I knew this was going to happen, I knew we weren't going to find A-grade people, therefore I'll fire the team and I'll flip back to being self-employed. So control is the key. How do you maintain the standards and the quality and the control of a team of people? It depends how you recruit them, how you train them, how you guide them, how you support them, how you lead them. It's a real leadership job here, because when you've got a team of people working for you, you've got to lead them so they deliver the product, they keep the promise you've made with your reputation and your standing and your skills. They're delivering the promise for you. How do you do that? Is through control and through systems. They fear disloyalty. Here's when it creeps in now, because what we don't want to do is train people and guide them, bring them into the fold, and then they leave and go and set themselves up half a mile down the road. They fear disloyalty. And this is a real tricky one to overcome, because you've almost got to break through this hurdle where you bring people in, you train them, you guide them, they do a great job, and then is how do you keep them? How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them delivering? And how do you stop them or prevent them going somewhere else? And the answer to that is, what happens is, what they need is recognition, growth, and potential. So if if an instructor, for example, wants to leave and do their own thing, well, great, but they do it for you. They do it for you 2 or 3 miles away, or they do it in a different town, different location. This is where we have this sort of, the growth of the business has got to come through from a growth mindset. Now you've got to keep on growing and developing, because almost you've got no choice. You're still going to get instructors that come along, you train them, you guide them, you bring them up, man and boy, all this sort of thing, and they're going to leave and start up down the road. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. It's not great. It's a kick, it's going to hurt. But they can't do what you do because you're not part of their team. They haven't got your values, your vision, your quality, your history, your background, your credentials, your standards, your all that good stuff that is what you bring. They may not have that. So when they go and compete, don't worry. Then let them go. It's okay. It's going to happen. Happened to us. We had a recruitment business. We brought people on in the agency. They started their own business down the road, tried to compete. They didn't last because they didn't have our ethics and values and standards. That's what you're bringing to it. So we want to overcome that sort of fear of disloyalty, but give people options as they grow. The sabotage here that I find is what holds people back is quality. The team you build, we recruit a great team, and because you are the experts in what you do, it's your standards, it's your passion, your skills. They're not going to deliver as well as you do, and there's no way around that. Not really. I think we've got to make a trade-off here that when you bring people into your team as instructors, maybe they're going to deliver the training or the quality of the lessons to maybe 80% of the quality that you do. And that's got to be okay to a degree. Maybe it's 85% or whatever, but maybe they're not as good as you are. That's going to have to be okay because perfection is a real killer of growth because you can't duplicate perfection. So bringing people in, you may fear the disloyalty, but the thing that holds people back from doing this and developing it is the quality. I can't get the people to deliver like I do. It's my reputation. It's my name above the door, my standards, and I don't want to let go. And that the quality is the sabotage mindset that comes with this. So if we can overcome it's not a case of compromise the quality, but realize, and again, this is not just a martial arts thing, but I'm pretty sure that if I look at your background, your knowledge, your experience, and let's say you're black belt, third, fourth Dan, highest level, absolutely. But bringing a 7-year-old into the business as a student, they don't need you to be there with them on the journey on day one through. They need a solid instructor. They don't need black belt seventh Dan with all your knowledge and experience. It's got to be okay for them to grind through. Now, at some point, maybe you have a high level class or an elite group that you teach, absolutely, when they qualify for it. But if you find yourself with all your skills and knowledge, you're still teaching 7-year-olds on day one, you don't really need to be able to do that. So it's not a case of compromising quality. It's allowing the business to have people in that is structured, and systems are your key here. Systems are the key. How do you have your lesson plans, your training plans, your guidance for your instructors? What's your instructor academy look like? How are you guiding them on their development in terms of skills, but also, mindset? How are they approaching people? Soft skills? What's the quality of the lessons they're delivering? So to overcome this fear that you want to maintain the control, but the sabotage is letting go through quality. It's not necessarily true. It's holding the quality standards, but being okay with people who aren't you or have your experience and knowledge, enabling them to grow through the academy as well, and teaching maybe the youngsters as they come along, as they grow towards you. So the team-based one, now this is where a lot of organizations, they get to this point and they sort of stop because they've got the team, life's good. And if you want to stop here, that's absolutely fine as well. There's no criticism. But if you find that ambition is still burning away, how do you go to the next level? Which for me, level 4 is the multi-site. So you've got the one location, and then you want to have multiple sites. And there's a variety of ways of doing this. We want to go multiple sites. Now, we did this we had a transport company back in the day. We had 5 locations. In the end, I'm counting up, 5 locations. First location was good because I was there, the team was there, we had a fleet of vehicles, and the drivers always good, under control. When we opened up our next site, the first remote site, I thought it'd be easy because it's going to be easy. It was a disaster, complete nightmare. It's horrible because we hadn't systemized, we hadn't structured, we hadn't trained people, we hadn't got communication, and we had to fix that real quick. So multi-site is a great potential for growth. But remember, we're not going to duplicate you. You've got to duplicate your systems and structure. So the money mindset here, all of a sudden it changes again now, because what we're looking at from multiple sites is making profit from multiple locations, margin contribution from number of locations. If you've got 6 locations, let's say, well, you're going to take income however you derive that, whether it's licensing or franchising, or you do a profit share, or you own it and you make all the sales, whatever it is, you're going to take a margin contribution. And this is another mindset shift, because now you're fractionating your income over a group of companies that you're not involved with, because you're at the mothership, you're in the center. You're not going to be, if you're based in London or you're based in Manchester, you've got a location in Glasgow, Aberdeen, or down in Bristol or something like that, you're not going to be there. So you've got to have this marginal contribution mindset, where you take another step away and thinking, okay, even if I'm not there now, they're going to follow my systems, my procedures, my protocols. They're going to do what I show them, but my income is going to be dependent on how good they are, and I can't even see them now. So it's more this remote multi-site type of approach. Quite a shift in terms of the vision, the mindset. What we need at this level is consistency. We want all the, let's say, 6 locations to be running on all cylinders all the time. And it never happens that way. I guarantee if you've got a number of locations, you're going to have 4 doing really well and 2 are struggling. So you fix these 2, and then these 2 are going to struggle. And you never get all like spinning plates to a certain extent. So what we crave is consistency. Every location being good and making profits and contribution, building and growing and developing. And it very rarely happens. I spend a lot of my time in franchising. I was over in the USA for a while, and we had 1,300 franchisees all over the world in 30 countries. And when we looked at it, we always had a mix. We had sort of, it was about sort of 50-50. Half of them are doing really well. Half of them were sort of either new or struggling or not paying attention. And we go and fix all the ones that are struggling. And then these guys over here, they start to struggle. We never, I don't think, got to everywhere where all 1,300 franchisees were running well, high growth, high profit, life is good, making massive contribution, and having that high level of consistency. So what the consistency that you had when you had your own company with a team or self-employed is going to go. We've got to get used to that, because this need for consistency doesn't apply to a multi-site. And the bigger you get, not the worse it's going to get, the more inconsistencies you're going to get. So watch out for this need for consistency shining through. The fear at this level is reputational damage, because you're handing over your quality not just to another person in your academy, but to somebody who's 200 miles away. Your name above the door, very likely, your reputation, your visibility, you're supporting them. If they screw up, it's your name on it. It's your name, your reputation going to be in the, in the Daily Mail. You're going to get dragged through the press and that sort of thing. Not nice. But again, we got to build a network of trusted people. And when you build a network of people, how do you recruit these people to come and run your academies for you? Yes, you've got to be very careful on selection and recruitment and training and development. But at some point, you've got to be prepared to let go and have these people deliver the promise remotely for you. And I had it with my transport company, and it was sort of okay. It was all right. But it's always the sleepless nights about something going wrong with your, a big client or something like that, or they make a mess of it in a big academy, a big school or something that you've worked really hard with. They go and mess it up. What you're going to do? But it's a sort of consequence of the growth. It's one of those things we have to get used to. We don't want it to happen, but if we don't not okay with it happening, it's going to go wrong at some point. That's a limitation. You won't grow if you're not okay with that, and you're going to be, you can sort it out as you go along. The sabotage here, what holds people back is vision. And if we flip all the way back then to, the sort of the employed stage where we all started with, the vision for sabotage is really thinking bigger. And I see this for me, I see it for loads of people, where our vision is what holds us back, because we don't think big enough. We have a limiting belief around what we can achieve in terms of timescales or income and money. And we also have a limitation belief around what is a lot of money. And it doesn't matter what this number is, all of us have got a figure that we feel uncomfortable going beyond. And what I mean by that is, so for example, in the franchising business, our business in the UK, when we had our transport company, we sold that to the other shareholders. We were doing about what were we doing back then? Gosh, would have been about 3.5-4 million. That was that we got to the revenue, that's sales, not profit. That was a profit. That's why we sold it. It wasn't making that much profit. Anyway, 3.5 million. When I was working at the airport in aviation, we were doing about 15-18 million. I could cope with those sort of numbers. I can see and visualize those sort of numbers. When we were in the franchising world, over in the US, we were doing 100 million. And I can remember thinking, 100 million, wow, that's what it like does not compute. So there's a level of sales or income or profit or whatever it is that we start to feel uncomfortable about. And I don't know what it is for you. It's something to work on for yourselves. You'll know what it is, because the number one goal for a lot of people when they are in self-employed, all they want to do is earn what they earned when they were working in a job. They replace their salary, plus a little bit for a bit of a bonus, that type of thing. Well, why is that? Where's that limitation come from? So when you get to the, the multiple sides, or the potential to really grow and scale a business, the limitation is either you don't need it because the 4 or 5 locations, 2 or 3 locations works well and builds you the lifestyle that you need and you want, and that's absolutely great. It does that, life's good. But it may be that the limitation becomes our vision. I remember doing works with an IT company, and we started in Coventry back in the day when we were based in the UK. Fabulous people, and they were turning over then around about 2 million, making zero profit. And I said to Rob Helly, the lovely guy, he's a Dutch guy in the UK. I said, "Where do you want this business to be? What's your vision? What's your vision?" And immediately he said, "International, sell it in 10 years, retire to the Bahamas." Wow. Okay. There's a vision. He wasn't interested in replacing his salary from his previous job or hiring a few people in the team, whatever it was. He had this clarity of vision. So we were with him for a number of years. He did really well. He built the business and grew it. And we're still in touch. We're sort of, friends, colleagues now. Now, I don't take any credit for this particularly, but we grew him up, got him going, and then he put a business into Poland. He recruited people there. He went international, went multi-site. He sold it. I don't know what the numbers are particularly, but I'm going to guess now. He sold it to, I think it was Capgemini bought his business about 12 months ago. And I'm going to say it's about 45 million, 50 million he sold it for, cash. And I know he's now retired over to the Bahamas. So the dreams come true. Now, Rob's a fabulous guy. I look at other martial artists, and the people I can refer to when they have big networks and multiple schools, maybe big franchises, this sort of thing. Are they any more intelligent or have any more knowledge than any of you guys or me or anybody else that you know? They don't. They really don't. What they do have is that this different mindset, a different approach, a different take on things, bigger vision. They're just thinking bigger and brighter. And the vision becomes a limiting factor for many people. They just don't think big enough, or they're scared to think big enough, or it becomes a figure they're uncomfortable with. So if you can figure out the number, the figure, maybe it's a sales figure or an income figure, and it's a strange thing to have, but maybe there's a figure that you feel uncomfortable earning or uncomfortable generating in terms of sales. I don't know what it is, and it's not maybe for conversation on this call, but we've all got it. We've all got a figure beyond which we self-sabotage. We get to a certain number and then we bounce off it. We feel uncomfortable about it, and the vision isn't big enough, and then we come back again. So it's a question maybe to just consider, what is your vision? Is your vision big enough? Do you want to have whatever the lifestyle is, or whatever the future is, or whatever it's going to be? Why are you doing this to yourselves, if you like? But the vision becomes sabotage because they become okay with what we've got. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If a business of 4 or 5 locations is giving you the income you need, the lifestyle you need, you're enjoying things and life is good, great, then absolutely fabulous. But it may be you've got that sort of itch in the back of your mind. What else could we do? And it may be because the stumbling block or the sabotage is the income limitation or the value limitation that we've all got. And I was very fortunate in my career to work alongside and with and have mentors that were very, very wealthy people. And over in the US, I remember I was invited out for dinner, not with the people we worked for. It's a sort of friend of Lynn's actually. And he was a professional gambler, and he would be flown in from his home free of charge by the big casinos. And they comp him into the hotel, and providing he gambled regularly on the table to a certain limit, everything was free. So they'd meet up with us when they came into Vegas, so that's where we lived, and they took us out for dinner one evening. He'd had a good day on the tables, but this dinner was being paid for by the hotel. If you've been to Vegas, then you know the MGM Grand, the big green hotel at the south end of the strip. They were staying there in the MGM Mansions, which is the celebrity part of the hotel that, riffraff like us don't get to go to. That's where they put him. And we went out to the Joel Robuchon restaurant, the Michelin star restaurant. Anyway, he was there and we were eating away. We had the taster meal, the wine, the champagne. Because we lived in Vegas, we got a Rolls Royce home. The hotel has a Rolls Royce. They took us home. That meal, and this is going back, how long ago is this? Must be 14, maybe 15 years ago now. That meal was $15,000 for four of us. And I can remember thinking, that's outside my comfort zone. That is a number for me, that was just too much for dinner for four people. $15,000 for him. He just signed the check and he gave him a 10%, 20% tip on top and just charged it to the hotel as if it was nothing. So the sabotage we have is this comfort number. There's a number in our minds of income or profit or whatever it is, beyond which we feel uncomfortable. Therefore, we sabotage to stay below it. So this level is maybe to work on the value, the mindset, whatever we call it, about value, about income and lifestyle. Most people, the biggest challenge isn't that we shoot too high and don't hit it. The biggest challenge for most people is they shoot too low, but they hit it. They get that sort of adrenaline rush from achieving low level targets. So time to open up the vision, if you like. That's where the stumbling block comes from. Final one, the level 5 one, is really then what it called international scalability, multiple businesses, multiple income streams, whether it's all martial arts or otherwise, but really going global, if you like, a big multinational business. How does that look? Well, here the money mindset is return on asset. And I'm not a taxation specialist, so I'm not going to give you any advice. But when you look at going from employed status, when you pay tax PAYE, all the way through to when you're building assets, you don't pay tax on assets. Look at Elon Musk. The richest people in the world have, shares and stocks and businesses. And the reason they don't get taxed on it, because you don't get taxed on your assets. You don't get taxed on your shares in a business. So when you're looking at money, now you're looking at the asset that you're building. You're selling your intellectual property, you're systemizing, you're scaling, but you're building an asset from which you can derive an income through a variety of mechanisms and measures, but you're now international, building an asset and building high value for you, and you can do all sorts of things with that. And my official guidance would be you need to get some taxation advice, you need to come to Luxembourg, for example, but you're building an asset now from which you can derive income and you can derive value for you and your family as well. It's a different mindset approach. So money is return on assets, not on activity or anything like that now. Needs, you've got to keep growing. One of the challenges was this: you've got to keep on growing the business because you've got to feed the monster to a certain extent, but also to maintain the development of the business and the credibility for it. You've really got to maintain growth, a different mindset. You're not a martial artist now. Now you're an entrepreneur. You're an international entrepreneur, and you're going to build a strong team around you. So it's a different mindset for this one. The fear here, having worked with some of these people, I see them, is pace. Is it going to slow down? Can we keep it going? Can we keep maintaining the growth and the vibrancy? It almost becomes a bit of an ego thing. Because they've got to maintain the growth. If you don't get the growth, they take it personally, because their return on asset is how they generate their income and their sort of bragging rights, if you like. But pace is, you've got to maintain the pace and keep the growth. You can't sit back and relax, basically. You've got to keep on growing and developing, hence of the needs. And the sabotage here, really, the only thing that gets in the way, I think, is identity, the identity of the individual, because to run a company at this level, at this size, it's a different mindset, different approach, different identity from when you started out as employee or self-employed or running a smaller company. This is totally different. And when you meet these sort of people, I recommend that you do, not just in martial arts, generally meet people who are running companies, either corporates of this scale or international, whatever it is. Meet them, and two things will happen. Number one, you'll realize they're just normal people. They're good, they're great, they're just normal people. They're, we did some work, for example, with a big American bank, and we were invited to go to Brussels to do an event with called the EXCO, the Executive Committee. this is the people that run the bank basically. And I got chatting to the CEO. We did a murder evening for them, like a game thing, in the evening before. And I got chatting to him, and I was in awe of this guy because he has offices in Dubai and New York and Frankfurt and Luxembourg and homes everywhere. He travels the world and all this sort of thing. And I thought, crikey, he's going to be some like superhuman character. No, he's not superhuman. Highly intelligent, lovely guy, very pragmatic, hardworking, but nothing that you're the same. We're all the same as that. What he had a difference was, for him, his business is global. He's thinking in time zones and currencies and growth and strategic deals and mindset. The identity was different. That's the only difference, is the identity shift and the degree of vision that he had for himself and his family and the business that he was running as well. But these people are no different to you, me, or anybody else that we know. They're really not. But it's just that the sabotaging is when people say, oh, that's not for me, I'm not ready yet, I don't think that big, I'm happy where I am. And it's not exactly a shame, but anybody can do this sort of thing. But it's an identity shift. So when you get to this level, it's return on assets. That's the taxation point is different. The income model is different. You're building intellectual property and a diverse network of different businesses. You've got to grow. You've got to keep the pace. But the big shift there is the identity shift, becoming international, entrepreneurs. But international is the key. My recommendation here, genuinely, the big open mindset for me when we came back from the US is hanging out with these people, literally in Luxembourg and Switzerland, is probably the best apprenticeship you can get. So, get yourself over here, come to Luxembourg, I'll show you around. You're welcome to. Just meet some of these people and it'll rub off a little bit and you go, huh, maybe we can do something bigger and brighter and better. Whatever it is, opens up some sort of possibilities. So that's the key. Okay, so I think that is my presentation done. I've got time, I think. Yeah, I'm just going to check on my calendar here. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're fine. So let's check. Yeah, we've got 15 minutes to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, if that's okay. Lou, welcome back. I've been speaking a heck of a lot. So my apologies, but hope it made sense. And any questions anybody has, please chirp in, type in, whatever. I'll do whatever I can to answer any
I'm going to have a
questions.
check of the chat box, Dave, see if we've got anything coming in. Did you basically just open your converted property into a hotel for people to come and mix and hobnob with rich
Oh, this
individuals?
one, yeah, we're absolutely part of the renovation. We're going to do is have a patio area,
For Nest
but then we want to
clients
bring
only.
we want to bring people here because I genuinely, and it's not because we're fortunate to live in France. It was a childhood dream, to live in France. That's where we are, as you know. But what I've seen is when people come and they meet the guy behind us here, for example, in the back of the village, he's the financial director of Villeroy Bosch over in Germany. And, he comes over for a beer. We're out wine tasting next week and he's a lovely, lovely guy. But when you speak to him, it's just the mindset. Yeah, we're buying a business. They just bought a big ceramics company in the UK. And I think it was, who was it? Is it Royal Dalton, the ceramics people? Anyway,
Yeah.
Villeroy Bosch. Hey, we just bought them. Oh my gosh, they've bought a different mindset, and he's a lovely guy. I mean, hardworking. He's a German accountant, for goodness sake. I mean, what's not to love? But when you meet these people and you raise your network, I think Lewis, you just completed recently, maybe 12 months ago now, your MBA. You're rubbing shoulders with different people, different outlooks, different experiences, and it just rubs off. And I can't explain it, but yeah, mix with
Yeah.
these people and you'll get the ideas and do the networking with them. And what I've always found, just real quick, is when you meet these people who have got these international ideas and mindset, and you say to them, can we have a coffee and can you give me some tips and ideas? They go, yeah, absolutely, I'll help you all I can. They're just so open. It's always the little guys that don't help you. The big guys and gals, they just do. They go, yeah, I'll show you what I did, I'll tell you all about it, but you've got to be there to have that sort of guidance. So yeah, we're going to have the events here at some point. So yeah,
Do a Nest only event at
absolutely
Dave's.
exclusive for Nest. We'll get some of these big guys to come and talk to us. It'd be great.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, and they really, they genuinely are no different to you and I.
No,
It's just experience and fear of the unknown. No one wants to do something they don't know about. But your guy who's just bought Royal Dalton, they've probably already done it. many
Oh,
times
exactly.
before,
It's
so it's nothing to them.
what just what they do. It's just what they do, and I see this from a point of view. It happens at every level in business and success and achievement, where people go, "Yeah, I've just done this." I mean, and I remember, we had the phone call in our business. We had a phone call from a client. Do you want to? Would you come to Las Vegas? And I'll be your only client, and we'll do this, we'll do that, and blah blah blah. I was there within 2 weeks. It was like bang, off we go. And people say, "You must have been insane and crazy to do that. Why did you sell the house and the cars and blah blah blah?" But we did, and it was great, and we loved it, and so be it. It's that sort of, I don't know, the opportunities come along, say yes to them, mix with the right people, and it does rub off. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So AD has asked, how do you know when the timing is right to move from one level to another?
Great question. You don't, you never do. I think what happens is, again, in my experience, I think for other people as well, it's like you have this instinct that when something is either, not say not right, but you want to do the next level, whatever it looks like. Now, the challenge for lots of people, I've done it myself, is they wait for perfect market conditions, perfect interest rates, perfect whatever, whatever, whatever. And then because you can't tick all those boxes, you never do it. For me, I want to get to 75%, 80% certainty about something, and I'll make the last 25, I'll make it up in terms of hard work, dedication, and hope. But so there's knowing when, you probably know you're ready for the next level. But if you wait for it to be 100% certain and clear, you'll never make the jump, because I've never seen a perfect business opportunity. This cottage, I'm in France right now, and the story, we bought it online by mistake. I didn't realize you put a bid in on it on a Sunday, and in France, if you put a bid and it gets accepted, that's it. You're locked in. You can't get out of it. So, and people think you're insane doing that. Well, yeah, but no, but whatever. So I think you've got to have a little bit of a like trust in yourself that you get 80%, 75% certainty, and then you take a deep breath, make the leap, and then you figure it out as you go. So I think you don't wait. You know when the time is right, because you know yourself, like instinctive drive. But waiting for perfect conditions, never seen it. Get beyond halfway. Don't do anything crazy. But if that final third, you make that up with hope and hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, I think.
Excellent, thank you. And I've just got one more question actually, Dave, before
Yeah.
we wrap up. In your experience, I know you work with many, many industries and people all over the world and, six-figure salaries and beyond.
Yeah.
In your experience, what impacts more, knowledge or mindset? What is it that really pushes people to the next level? And if it's a mixture of both, what kind of percentage are you looking at?
Gosh, great question. I think I'm going to go with mindset comes first, but I think as the mindset grows, the knowledge is sort of following behind. It never sort of quite catches it. There's always a gap. If I look at for example, I'll give you an example here. There's a guy in Luxembourg. We went to a networking event, and it was at on the place called the Kirchberg, which is the big plateau where all the banks are. Went to this networking event, and he pulled up. And I don't know him as a friend. I know him as on around. He pulled up in a Lamborghini Murcielago, I think it was. Anyway, this is a €250,000 car, whatever. And I said to him, I said, nice ride, all this sort of thing, blah blah blah. Oh, he said, yeah. He said, and he was just being very genuine. He said, what I do, he said, every quarter we get a bonus, and I take 10% of my bonus and I just blow it. I just blow it on something. And I said, wait a minute. So this Lamborghini is 10% of your quarterly bonus. He said, yeah, we had a good quarter. And I'm thinking, wow.
Wow.
Now, this guy, doesn't matter who this guy is, but now he is just a normal bloke. He came across from the UK. He's a normal bloke, and lots of opportunities and things like that. But he's no more intelligent. And I can see the list of people who are on this call here. I don't see the list. I guarantee he's no more intelligent. He's not particularly highly qualified in terms of, you have to do all the banking exams and that sort of thing. He's not particularly highly qualified, but he has this mindset attitude that we're going to go for it. Now, his threshold for money threshold is higher than mine. I've got to say, it's a lot higher than mine. Crikey. For him, he takes some of his bonus and he blows it on a Lamborghini. It's like, crikey, good
Yeah.
job. But no, genuinely, I think it's mindset first. What these people do, in my experience, is they have the mindset, but they do keep learning. They do keep learning. May never quite catch up with the mindset, but they
Yeah.
will learn new things. They go meet with new people, and they'll make sure they're having lunch with the right people. They're networking properly, and they're learning. Maybe they do go to, night school. They read a lot of books as well. They read a lot of books, keep the mind sharp, and they mix with these people. The guy in one of the guys in Luxembourg, he loved this book so much. I think it was the Thinking Fast and Slow, is it? That you come across the book Thinking Fast
Yeah.
and Slow?
Yeah.
Great book. Now, I've read the book, it's great. But what he did, he got in touch with the publisher and arranged for lunch with the author. And he flew across to America to go. It's like, I didn't think of that. Why wouldn't I do that? There you go. It's just like, this is this sort of level of thinking that they do. They're going to have lunch with the author, whatever it was, and off he went. It's like, huh, lessons in life. So I think mindset first, but knowledge is really, they're continually growing and learning, and they go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Absolute sense. AD's put there's an ex-SAS guy called Lofty Wiseman. He
Okay.
has a survival triangle. Look it up on Google. It goes mindset, tactics, skills, kit, with mindset at the base being the most important. It's probably translatable into business too. Oh, I'll definitely look that up.
No, absolutely, yeah, absolutely it is. But it's interesting if you look at the SAS or Special Forces when they take people to go on and I haven't done it. I'm not a military guy, but they go on this Special Forces selection. They don't care if you can shoot straight through a hand grenade or whatever. They don't care about that. What they care about is your mindset, your attitude, your fitness, and everything like that. They're stretching these people to the limit. If they
Yeah,
get through that, they'll teach them to shoot. They don't care.
yeah.
So, well, they do care, but no, it's mindset and attitude. It's the basis of just about everything, I think, really is. No, great point. Thanks, AD.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, AD. No, we'll definitely look that up. That's really interesting. Okay, fantastic. Well, if there are no more questions, I think that nicely brings us to the end of the session.
Fabulous.
Dave, that has been so insightful. That's really, really
Oh,
interesting.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
I've loved that. For anyone who's watching this back or watch it now, I will be watching this again. I think there's some incredible points in there that I think we should all take out. If they're meet with people that you wouldn't normally mix with, that's all part of
Yep.
the learning process and skill set. So completely valid there. And look, Dave is a business partner with us. So if you ever want to talk to him outside of this, then feel free. I can give you his contact details.
Yeah,
Um,
happily.
and
Yeah, I'll talk to you. You can
yeah,
email me, you can call me, I'll spend time with you. It's absolutely fine. I'm not going to sell you anything. But if you want to have a conversation or just want some tips and ideas, if you want to come wine tasting in Luxembourg with 2 or 3 of these CEOs next Friday, the 19th, I've got one place, my treat. Get here, I'll give you some wine. How about that?
God, but have a chat with Gerard.
There you go. Yeah, but Lou, thank
Awesome.
you for the opportunity. Thanks to everybody for listening and participating. If you need me for anything, drop me a note, speak to Lou, and if I can help, I will.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank
My
you as
pleasure.
ever.
See you,
Thank you.
everybody. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.